When it comes to gacha games at the moment, it really is a fight for your time. What can devs do to get you to play? Some add events with lots of rewards, some hype up patches with well designed and sought after characters, and in the case of Honkai Star Rail, it's safe to say that the story gets people playing. There's no denying that 2.4 of Honkai Star Rail had its ups and downs. I felt that the latter half of the story was great, which leads perfectly into now. Star Rail 2.5, how good was it? Did it live up to the usual expectations? We're about to find out. This cooked. I mean, I was quite critical of 2.4 for the most part, stating that it felt like 2 acts of a 3-act story, and that was correct. So heading into 2.5, I was relatively optimistic. I wanted to see how they progressed with the Hule story, what they revealed about Jiao Cho and Fei Zhao, and I was not disappointed. You focus on 2 characters, and suddenly everything clicks into place. We see Fei Zhao's approach to battle and her own internal battles, which made her feel like a way more complete character. This is a fun way to wrap up everything going on with Zhenzhou as we move back to Penacony. The war dance ties into everything, we get more lore on the Foxians and the Borisin, but the biggest element to the story came at the end. Ting Yun is alive! Well, obviously she's been revealed as Fugue now? Oh, is that how it's pronounced? I don't know. But we know that she's been revived by Ruan Mei. What this means, I don't know, but I'm excited for this, because I think we all wanted Ting Yun back. But here's a really fun dynamic where it's Ting Yun, but potentially under a different name and seemingly without a lot of her memories. So there's a lot to unpack whenever we get back to that. But right now, when it comes to the story, I'm glad that it had a solid conclusion, but I'm left wanting something that brings us over to Penacony again. Like, I understand that 2.6's story screams filler, but at least give us a lead-in. So I wanted to give my honest thoughts on everyone involved in the story to some extent. So we'll also get onto the 2.4 characters. Yeah, she didn't really shine to me. I'm not a fan of her all that much. I mean, Yunli's not bad, but she's just nothing standout. It doesn't help that she's thrown towards Yanqing as just a we're gonna bicker every 5 seconds dynamic. If she had more standalone moments, maybe she'd stand out more to me. I low-key regret not pulling for him, but there were more important characters to go for. Why didn't they let this man cook in 2.4? He's very base level in that part of the story, you know, he has moments where I was intrigued about him and his backstory, but 2.5 is where he shines. We get backstory that not only helps you understand who he is, but it relayed back to the overall story. He went from a middle of the road character to a character I want to see so much more, so good job devs. Just a shame you didn't do that whilst people could still pull for him. He exists. I get that he's a 4-star, so they don't sell him as much as the 5 stars, but when you look at the characters in this part of the story, it feels like everyone does something big, but Mose just exists for most of this. He's guiding someone, tracking someone down, but the more I think about it, the more I realized, isn't that his whole thing? Like, he's meant to blend into the background because his whole character's about stealth. Him not really having any traits that define him kind of makes sense. Look, I'm dedicated to being a Topaz guy, I really am. Topaz is still my favorite character in this game, and nothing was going to stop me from saving to get her, but Fei Zhao came damn close. I only put her in the middle of A tier because I did feel like there's more to her than meets the eye, so if we get to see more of her, then I get the feeling she could become one of my favourites. Her character is fun, the general that seems cocky and overconfident, but in reality she can back it up. And even then, she's dealing with her own struggles, dealing with an illness, realizing that in terms of ideologies, she's just like Hule. Fei Zhao is a complex character who I think really got the time to shine, so let's keep bringing her back. This is an interesting character to talk about because obviously I'm going to be biased. She came out at the same time as Topaz had her reruns, so naturally I wasn't super focused on Ling Shu in the story because I had already accepted I wasn't going to be pulling for her. That being said, she is a relatively interesting character, nothing super crazy for me personally, but she does help drive the plot forward in quite unique ways, so I'd be very interested to see what she does going forward, and hey, if we get to see more of Ling Shu, then count me in. I won't lie to you, as I was typing this script up, I can't remember the events all that well. There's the Luminary Wardance, which centers around Luca, which is nice, you know, good to see Luca getting a chance to shine still. It was an alright event, nothing extraordinary, but it was a fun time going through it. I just think with the more games I pick up, gacha or otherwise, the less the events appeal to me for anything other than things I have to blitz through to get summons and rewards. And I really do think that that's the point, especially with the Hoyo games, because they're realizing that with Star Rail, Zenless, and yes, Genshin, people aren't dedicated to one game, so a lot of events feel very simplistic because they don't want you playing through one game, doing all the events, and that takes like 3 weeks, and then playing Zenless and those events take 3 weeks, and then if you play Genshin and those events take 3 weeks, you don't have time. You don't have time. I like the format of one main event per patch, and then maybe 2 to 3 smaller events that offer less rewards if you choose to not do them. Then it's not such a major loss if you don't decide to. Of course, if you're actively saving up summons or a free-to-play player, it's going to be harder to skip events of any kind, but this kind of format gives me personally more freedom to step away from the game for a while. So let's cut to the chase, shall we? Is Star Rail back? It's hard to say. 2.5 was great. It's easily a 4 out of 5 story, which I'd always say is a story grade worth playing through, but I'm slightly worried about 2.6 and where we go from here. But that's a topic for another day. If you're a fan of any of the characters involved, Zhenzhou, or just what Star Rail stories typically are, I reckon you'll find enjoyment in the 2.5 story. But let me know, what are your thoughts on 2.5? Is Star Rail cooking again, or have they lost the cookbook? See ya!